It's the time of year when families are getting ready for their children to return to school, and Pope Francis has asked us to pray this month in his general intention for parents and families. Parents are the first teachers of their children. Through both word and example, parents teach the next generation the values necessary for good and upright living on earth and for attaining the eternal life of heaven. We're praying specifically that parents and teachers may help the new generation to grow in upright conscience and life. What is an upright conscience? Recently, Pope Francis talked about the conscience, what it is and how important it is. Speaking about the conscience of Jesus, he said that this involved, quote, listening in his heart to the Father's voice and following it. Jesus was not, in the words of Pope Francis, remote controlled. Rather, he was free, totally free to follow his heart, which was a heart that lived in union with God the Father and his will. Pope Francis went on to say, we must learn to listen to our conscience more. But be careful. This does not mean following my own ego, doing what interests me, what suits me, what I like. It is not this. The conscience is the interior place for listening to the truth, to goodness, for listening to God. It is the inner place of my relationship with Him, the one who speaks to my heart and helps me to discern, to understand the way I must take, and, once the decision is made, to go forward, to stay faithful." End quote. Today, unfortunately, many people seem to think that conscience really is doing what one wants to do, doing one's own thing. It isn't. It's the place in every human being's heart where God has written his eternal law and has given a sense of fairness and truth that doesn't have to be learned but is innate. Children know instinctively when they are not being treated fairly. It's something they didn't need to be taught. However, this basic innate sense of fairness, of right and wrong, needs to be developed until every person becomes more like Jesus, truly free, truly able to follow God's law inscribed on the human heart, able to follow the wonderful plan God has for humanity and for each individual. And so we're praying that parents and teachers may help future generations develop their minds and hearts, their consciences, so that they will make good decisions. But notice, we're praying that the next generation may not only grow in an upright conscience, but also in an upright life. It's not enough to know right from wrong, good from evil. It's not enough to know what one ought to do. We are free not to follow our conscience. After the responsibility of having an upright and well-formed conscience comes the responsibility to follow it, to make decisions that help us and others to lead good and upright lives. This is where the best teaching is not so much what is said, but what is done. For actions speak and teach much better than words. Our prayer for parents and teachers, including each of us, part of a family, part of society, part of the human family, is that we too will have upright and well-formed consciences that lead us to live good and upright lives. As always, our prayer for others calls us to include ourselves and to examine ourselves so that we are not praying for one thing for others, but doing the exact opposite in our own lives.